Okay, hello. My name is Sophie. I'm 33 years old and I'm a volunteer at EPP Cymru. I first heard about EPP through a counsellor at my GP surgery. I had been put under section under the Mental Health Act in 2009 and I was visiting the GP to discuss my medication and how well I was coping in the aftermath of that experience. And it was discussed then that maybe counselling would be helpful. As I went through the course of counselling, which I did find very helpful, at the end, the counsellor advised that perhaps self-management would be something that would help, and mentioned the exculpation programme, as it was called then. Self-management actually wasn't a term that I'd heard before the course at EPP. I was under the impression after I'd come out of hospital that medication was going to solve my problems. I soon found out that wasn't the case, and actually the side effects of taking medication became problematic in itself. So when I did attend the EPP course, this term self-management was new to me, and I thought, wow, that implies I have to take responsibility for myself, of which I did find quite difficult, in all honesty. Having bipolar disorder and having moods so frequently change, it was quite difficult to imagine that I could take control of those moods. But with the use of the toolbox, for example, physical activity, getting better sleep, communicating effectively with healthcare professionals, using your mind to deal with anxiety, I did actually find that these tools were enablers so that I could live more effectively with my mood disorder. So self-management became something that was then second nature, but without those tools being given to me, I would never have known about that. I chose to become a volunteer because a friend of mine had become ill, and we were chatting over coffee about her symptoms and what she was going through. And I found myself talking about these tools to her, asking her, was she eating well? Was she sleeping okay? And after the conversation, I came home and I discussed it with my partner, and they said, that's interesting that you're using tools that you learned all those years ago on that course. So I went into the attic to find the handbook that then was given to participants. And I found myself reading through the different activities that I had covered then. And I thought to myself, maybe now is the time for me to give something back, to share my experience of how I had lived for 10 years using these self-management tools, not consciously, but there in the background. And now I find, being a volunteer, that that is something that participants resonate with, that all those years ago, I was in the same situation that they find themselves in now, maybe at the beginning of their journey of self-management, and that actually self-management is ongoing, that it may be relevant now or in a few years, but the key is that we live with ourselves 24/7, so it's our responsibility to take care of our health condition. It's simply that fact that as volunteers, we are role modeling. We are explaining how using the tools to deal with our symptoms that come from having our health condition can help us. Therefore, the participants know that it's a real experience, that they can acknowledge that we all have symptoms regardless of the health condition, and that by using these tools, there have been people who have learned to live effectively with their long-term health condition, and that gives them hope. And you see the hope in their face as they go away weekly dealing with action plans or going through activities such as problem solving. You can see that they're confident that this has helped others, like myself.